It's my great opportunity to now welcome you to 4 great panellists that we've got who will be the CALD consumer advocates and give us some feedback about what they think the CALD communities would need. So what I'd like to do is introduce you to all the panellists first. So first off, we've got Anna Maria Harrison. She's the founder and CEO of Umbrella, which is Multicultural Care Services. Danijela Hlis. Danijela is a retired bicultural social support worker and a former member of the Council of the Elders and a current member of the Older Persons Advocacy, which is OPEN. We have Talia Perikleous, also known as Talia. So Talia is a former carer and nurse, and she's actually volunteering with us here with MCCI. She supports our carers one-on-one through a mentoring program. And we also have Dr. Ponniah Anandajayasekeram with us, and he's also known as Ananda. Ananda is a retired agricultural economist and board chair of the Southern Migrant and Refugee Centre. So welcome to all of you. And Ananda, while I have you first, I'd like to sort of open up the first question to you if I could. So the Australian government's currently consulting to inform the development of a new Aged Care Act, which is likely to take effect in July 2024. What I want to ask you is, how do we make sure the voices of seniors from culturally and linguistically diverse and faith backgrounds are heard and duly represented in our aged care system?
The key words are heard and duly represented. In a simple answer for the question, how it's heard, one could say consult all seniors in the CALD community, or listen to them carefully and with your listening ears. But it's much easier said than done. So the important question we have is, how do we make sure that we actually capture the voices of all these different segments of this so-called seniors? So this begs the questions: who do you consult? How to get information, and what method do you use? And how can we make this process effective and efficient? So in order to answer that question, you need to look at the 3 phrases that are used in this question. One is the seniors, the other one is the aged care system, and the third one is aged care. We all know the word seniors, or the consumers in this case. This is not a homogeneous group. That means they are not the same. Their service requirements are also not the same. So we recognize the diversity. So within the diversity, we are trying to collect information which are going to be meaningful. That means we need to create homogeneous groups from this diverse cultural settings that we have. I think we all agreed that we are going to use the culture, values, language, faith, and food habits to as the kind of a basic criteria to group these people. So first cut, we can say from the diverse community, we can create a kind of a reasonably homogeneous group. And the assumption is that these people will have a similar set of circumstances, that they could also benefit from the same services. But when you look at the other key word, there is aged care system. The system concept is very useful. Every time when you talk about the system, there are 3 components we should be looking at. One is, who are the actors in the system? And the second thing is, what are the actions and interactions, the roles and responsibilities, partnerships, etc. And the third one is the rules of engagement, or what kind of practices they have set up for them to work together. So having said that, when some cases, when you say aged care system, some people straight away jump into the so-called aged care homes. So we all know aged care homes is only one component of the system. But if you look at the seniors as, when they come out of the, say, for example, retirement age, until they go to the aged care, the aged care home, there's a long period. They basically live independently and sometimes with their families or of their own. And that period, the gap between the retirement age and getting into the aged care homes is continuously increasing because of the longevity and also life expectancy, etc. So that in terms of looking at the seniors, now there are 2 groups already we can see: those who are in the system and those who are waiting to go into the system. And we also nowadays, we talk about positive aging. So that kind of care services comes much earlier. So we need to take all these aspects into consideration when we are looking for information or hearing their voice. In many cases, if we are looking at the period between the retirement and the getting the aged care home, the services are provided by mostly community groups. These are voluntary organizations or community clubs. They are actually not effectively incorporated into the system, and their needs are also not being addressed. So within the same community group, then we identify 3 groups of people from whom we need to collect the information. The first one is that those seniors who are living in the aged care homes, they might tell you what is working, what is not working, what improvement need to be done, what new services are needed. The second group is those who are retired but not in the aged care systems. They are in the transition stage. They may be living with their families or they may be living independently. Their needs are totally different. The third group is the seniors of voluntary clubs. They are valuable source of information as well as valuable service providers. Okay, they contribute a lot in terms of assisting positive aging. So this type of interactions are very useful for us. But then, having said, okay, these are the groups from whom we need to collect the information. Then you ask the question, what is the most cost-effective way of collecting information? So either you could use the key informants. These are the people who are knowledgeable about the communities, who can speak on behalf of the communities and articulate their needs. Or second thing, maybe we can have focus group discussion. Coming back to the second aspect of that, how to make sure the voices are duly represented in the new aged care system, the only way to do that, involving them, the seniors or seniors representatives or seniors groups, at all stages in the process, from the design, implementation, evaluation, replanning, even to incorporating the lessons learned into the system. One of the things that being proposed by the Center for Cultural Diversity in Aging is the so-called Multicultural Seniors Advisory Council is a step in the right direction. But to be effective, it's important this council should be a part of the decision-making body. Because I have been sitting in so many advisory groups, all what happens is we spend our time, give advices, and there's no guarantee whether that will be incorporated or not incorporated. The second one, that we should be carefully crafting their terms of reference, and we also make sure that membership should come from the CALD communities. Okay, I think the representatives should come from there so that they could be the representatives and spokesperson for the community.
Thank you, Ananda. That was wonderful. Danijela, do you have anything you'd like to quickly add to what Ananda's just explained?
Past and present governments are consulting with us. It is a start. They've been consulting for a while, but it does not mean they are hearing us. We must all take up this opportunity of more consultations and get as many seniors involved. It is about how to increase our involvement before we even think of how to be heard. Our seniors and elders have not had a lot of exposure to meetings and workshops, roundtable discussions. When I was working as a bicultural diversional therapist in an Australian-Italian club, my members didn't really want to talk aged care, dementia, depression. They wanted to enjoy their life. We need to change that. All of us must work hard towards eliminating the discrimination, the ageism. And so I encourage more meetings in our bicultural clubs and churches, newsletters, SBS radio and TV. Our submissions to the government must be backed up by real numbers of real people who were involved. And we must get petitions signed. We must create parliamentary friends of people from CALD background. Get real examples from people of what it is like to, for example, not be given an interpreter and be misdiagnosed for dementia and placed in a dementia lockup unit. Revert to mother tongue, and all communication with your Australian-born family ceases, and we don't have enough bicultural workers. what it is to be expected in old age as we enter residential care facility to all of a sudden start loving and knowing Australian food when we've never had it before. Have staff care for us who are untrained in culture appropriate care and do not use bicultural tools and apps that we've been developing for so many years. And in fact, many of them don't even know they exist. Have our carers, CALD carers, so unsupported and not having enough, I suppose, respite for ethnic specific care. So the carers, again, miss out. And this is just to mention a few. The current percentage of people taking place in aged care reforms is way too slow, too small for the government to take us seriously. I'm sorry to say, with my 2 years on the council.
And Anna, have you got something you wanted to add?
With seniors to join, with elderly people, we must divide them into two different significant groups. It's the clients or elderly people that already are within the system, and the newcomers like baby boomers, myself, were completely different bread and butter, different expectation, different knowledge, different background, and really quite assertive and difficult to deal with, because we know what we can expect, we know what we can put the government through to serve us. So my point is, think of those coming into the system, because they're completely different to those that are actually within the system.
Thank you, Anna. Yes, that's true. They've got more knowledge coming through, aren't they? Talia, did you have anything to add?
Danijela mentioned the confrontation. A lot of people that we're trying to reach don't want to know or discuss at that time issues related to aged care. They're out, they're having a good time, and they don't want that ruined. And that's understandable, because I think discussing those issues does provoke a lot of anxiety. I think we just have to make the process a bit more persuasive and attractive. We have to let them know that, okay, you're going to fill out this form, you're going to think about these questions, and it is going to make you anxious. And but that anxiety won't be forever. You'll feel anxious today, tomorrow about those questions you answered, and then you'll forget about it.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you, Talia. Anna, I might come back to you for this second question, if that's okay. So the government has legislated the establishment of the consumer advisory groups to seek input from consumers to improve service delivery. What advice would you give aged care providers who wish to do that co-design model in aged care to get feedback from seniors? So now we're talking about something very specific. So to be people that would be making sure that they come together as a group to give that feedback. What approaches or strategies do you recommend to make sure that that feedback mechanism is culturally appropriate?
It's important to acknowledge certain techniques of working with elderly people to get them involved into the conversation. And that's purely based on my own experience when I communicate with CALD groups and LGBTI groups as well, because we mustn't forget that LGBTI groups are very important groups that we have to work with and also give them justice. So that is of my interest, both CALD and LGBTI. So consumer groups, the most important thing is to receive trust of your clients. I refer as clients, I don't like the word consumer clients. You have to receive their trust to be able to have them to talk to you. And there's a number of ways of doing it, but the trust is the key word for get people to talk. Under the new Aged Care Act, clients are the most important reason for providers to adapt the new requirements and continue with their missions. In order to successfully achieve changes and receive support from consumers, we should make substantial changes to operate our programs and provide services. I refer to group settings, which is much easier because then you have really direct hands-on access to clients. You can start to change the world by talking to the group. So Agency staff should be building up personal relationships with clients, remembering their names, trying to say it properly. It's a key factor. Both clients and staff should wear name tags with name of the client pronounced in the way client likes it. For example, Hlis for Elizabeth, or me, Anya, for Anna. I like to be called Anya. I would like to recommend little flag and the country of the name where the person comes from, because it's easier to communicate when you start to send the messages. When clients first arrive to the center, I would suggest that the tour of the center with support staff speaking the language where possible, and showing maybe video, create video with in the language of the client to introduce program, speaking about clients' rights, acknowledging of their country, where they come from, assuring the client the organization respects them, and no matter how they speak English, they can still communicate, because there will be mechanisms that will help them to communicate. It is worth telling clients about the agency, challenges, complaint process, and feedback and the vision of the organization. So be transparent, talk to them. At the moment, my organization is looking for new accommodation. We do have problems, we struggle. We actually talk to clients and we talk to staff about it. We're not hiding, we're not working behind the scenes. Clients do come with ideas. Clients actually bring contacts within the community, drivers driving our buses around, picking up properties, telling us, go and have a look, check. So transparency is very important. All information given to clients should be translated into languages, or at least try to translate some of the languages, or speak directly through using interpreters, or maybe use your own agency staff to speak to your clients so they understand what the documents are. Be authentic. Have a direct conversation with clients, no flyers, no brochures, build up confidence. It is good to be honest and transparent, even telling them a bit about yourself and your staff. So other way around it. Ask them, but also tell them where we come from, why we're doing this job. It will actually reduce an anxiety. With home support staff, it's a good idea to send a picture of the staff going to person's home. It will create trust on the side of carers that there's no stranger coming into the house to serve the client, do things for client, because they will actually see the face. So again, trust and kind of introducing person before service happens. Those techniques will build up trust. And when you go and see clients and you tell them, look, we want to establish a group of consumers, they will actually participate happy, because they will know they're building together with you better organization, better service for them and next to come. When you establish the group, you have to act very promptly on recommendations. Don't leave things for later. And when you see clients, you just tell them, look, we've done it. When you see the group, say, we've just recommended. Even sending short messages or giving them short paper saying those recommendations were met immediately, we acted on them. Then once you build up this trust, they will tell you more, they will go deeper into it. So through the consumers group, you can conduct surveys with other clients. Now, the clients from CALD background don't like digital, they don't like electronic, they don't understand that very well. So the idea would be to try to enhance the knowledge, maybe organize internet classes, groups, showing them how to operate smartphones, and perhaps put little apps, create an app where they can give day-to-day immediate information about how did we go. Tell us whether you like the day.
I think that's a great idea with the communication that you're building, with trust that you're building. Can I just go over to you, Talia? Is there anything that you think that service providers need to understand if they're going to connect with CALD consumers or CALD clients to make sure that they have that feedback for their services, that they're culturally appropriate?
Well, I guess they have to examine how they're going to communicate with them. it's not just about, I guess, interpreters. You also have to be very patient, because when they're anxious, they might, their language skills might be affected. So, yeah, a lot of patience and understanding and more time.
Ananda, did you have anything that you would like to share there quickly?
They should make sure they engage all the stakeholders in the system, not only in the design, even in the implementation and evaluation. So there's a lot of programs can be implemented through the community organizations which are already in the community. They could effectively form partnership with that one. There should be an active monitoring evaluation system in place where the evaluation could be also done by the consumer groups, because that's the only way to get the effective feedback. And there should be a mechanism that the lessons learned should be documented, shared, and systematically incorporated in the future design of the program. Otherwise, the feedback is useless. And then we need to, as I told you, form the necessary strategic partnership, engage the seniors club, and more move into participatory approaches of doing things, engage all the stakeholders who consent. Constantly ask the question, whose voice is missing? Then so that you could actively go after and seek that piece of information that is needed. They should also remember there's nothing called an ideal system. If we are looking for an ideal system, we will never get there. So it's important to understand that we are trying to make improvement in the system based on the knowledge base that we have and the information we got. So as long as they have the built-in flexibility, the willingness to learn, it's like action, reflection, and action. That mode should be in place. So these are some of the things that we could give them as advice, so that they are not left alone. They are fit for purpose, they are relevant, and they are also forward-looking.
PICAC New South Wales ACT and PICAC Victoria are aware of significant issues that seniors from diverse cultural, linguistic and faith backgrounds experience in aged care. This includes social isolation in residential aged care, the lack of access to culturally appropriate food options, issues with digital literacy, and issues related to English language and literacy, to name a few. What do you see as some of the biggest challenges for seniors from diverse backgrounds, culturally and linguistically diverse and faith backgrounds, who are accessing aged care, and what advice or suggestions do you have to overcome these?
The biggest challenge, as far as I'm concerned, is lack of information on what our human rights in aged care are, our inability for many of us to lodge a complaint or ask for advocacy help. And we tend to suffer in silence, especially if we don't have family, because we don't know enough about free advocacy. I wanted to give you an example, the way I see it, and why I believe that we must keep on working with the government and ask to really be heard. The difference between consultation, which we've been having heaps of, it's that I say I need an interpreter, and the government recommends that I get one. That's consultation. Co-design, which we aren't getting, it's that we work together around the table, and I can explain that what I mean is that the duty of care, the legal requirement, it's for the service provider and the health professional to get an interpreter.
One of the things that was mentioned earlier, in some of these communities, the newly arrived communities, the concept of aged care homes are not even existing. For example, that is true in most of Asia and most of Africa. So for them, it's a kind of alien concept, and fitting into that is a challenge. The most the important thing for majority of the seniors now is communication and obtaining information, basically age-appropriate, user-friendly communication. Because at the moment, then people, when they want to access some information or something, they have got internet services or phone services. When they call them and their waiting time is over 45 minutes or something, sometimes they ask a question, they transfer to someone else. So there's an issue of people getting information about the services that are existing. So whether if you can find out age-appropriate communications. So one of the things that being suggested is, okay, allocate more resources, get this what you call bilingual or multilingual people working there, and then that way we might shorten the time and then provide the necessary information. That's considered as one of the biggest challenges for the seniors who are seeking for information at the moment.
I'd like to thank you all for your time. The information that you've given us as far as the questions that we've asked today has been amazing.